Wildcats the other way now.
So NBA 2K20 is finally here, and our expansion franchise is finally here. It is finally time for the San Diego Wildcats to be born, to come into existence into the NBA, along with another team, but it's not going to happen right away. I'll let you guys know more on that later. But the San Diego Wildcats, that's the important part right now, right? The San Diego Wildcats are the team that we decided to go with. I gotta be honest with you guys though, this is the most excited I've ever been for a video ever. I finally get to start off a new season with a new game with you guys, and that, man, I'd like to say that that's exciting is just one hell of an understatement. I'm thrilled. I am absolutely thrilled to finally get to start things off. We got a late start in 2K19 from when I decided to start the season off. It was like late March. We are going to finally be able to do this thing from day one. Also, the Badgers, they're not over yet. That's not over yet. More on that later as well. So let's talk about why we're using the San Diego Wildcats. A lot of the votes were for the Las Vegas Royals, but I don't just go by the votes. I also look at all of the feedback that you guys give me. So many of you guys, and I like overwhelming amounts of you guys just kept saying, please don't do Las Vegas. Every other YouTuber does Las Vegas. So there's a few reasons why I decided to go with the San Diego Wildcats. Number one, it was the second best vote getter, right? Number two, I feel like as far as the NBA is concerned, free agents tend to go to places that are nice to live, that are really, really nice areas. San Diego has been voted as like the nicest place in the country to live. In a lot of different, in a lot of different circles, people just view it as being like, one of the best places to live on the entire planet. So for that reason, I feel like we'll have an advantage in free agency, because that's why a lot of, the big name free agents, you see guys wanting to go to Los Angeles. You see some guys want to go to New York because it's kind of a cool place to play. You're always, you're always in the spotlight. But as far as nice places to live, San Diego was perfect. And you guys voted on it as well. So that worked out for the best. Now, you guys already saw a little sneak peek of the uniforms and stuff like that, but I'm going to show you detailed views of the uniforms, the court floor, and all that stuff. But what we're going to do first is we're going to hop in to the select a team screen here, and we're going to select our team, the San Diego Wildcats, and we're going to go ahead and advance. I already have all the settings set up, but for this, I'm just going to go through and make sure everything is on manual. I have all our sliders correct. It seems like in this year's game, I'll be honest with you, Superstar feels a little bit easy. It really feels a little bit easy. God forbid I should go any lower than Superstar. It seems like the CPU team is just clueless as to what to do to stop your players, even if you don't have a great team. So we're at least going to be playing on Superstar, and I might even just customize some of the sliders to make the CPU team better. Or I might just go straight to Hall of Fame. If I feel like I can take on Hall of Fame competition, because it's not just about being on the Hall of Fame difficulty for me. It's also about, number one, learning the Xbox controller, which I haven't 100% quite mastered yet. But number two, it's also about, not only playing the bad teams, but playing the really good teams as well. So I can beat, you know, the average teams on Hall of Fame difficulty, but when you start getting into teams like the Lakers, the Warriors, the Clippers, that's when things are going to get a little bit shaky for me. So I'll have to test it out a little bit more and see where we're at right now. But for now, I'm gonna stick with Superstar and maybe just adjust some of the sliders to make the AI's, you know, IQ a little bit better. So now that we got everything set to manual, we can advance on, and we are not going to do auto-generated rookies. We are obviously going to go ahead, I'm going to say load and download draft class, but you guys already know we're going to completely customize this thing. One of the coolest things about 2K20 is that all the mods that I had from 2K19, not only do they come over to 2K20, they actually look a little bit better as well. So like graphically, they look really, really good. So we'll say user created draft class. I think that this one right here by X2357, I think I used most of his draft classes last year, plus it's got the most downloads, and he always updates them. We'll say yes to the storylines, but whatever. I'm not going to take a look at the expansion protected players. We are just going to go straight into the draft, and we're going to see who we have at that point. So we're on the clock, and right off the bat, you see some of the guys at the top here, like Millsap, Whiteside, Steven Adams. Actually, I'm surprised that Whiteside is there. Not really sure why Portland wouldn't protect him. Otto Porter, Gordon Hayward. I can see why Gordon Hayward would be there. I'm sure that the Celtics would love it if we would grab him up, but that's not happening. Dwight Howard is here, so the Lakers did not protect him, and that's interesting because he's only making $1.62 million per year, so that he could be a decent fit for our team. But we'll have to take a look at, you know, how we're gonna build things here. Let's see. We'll go through it here. A lot of veterans at the top of the list, obviously. We're looking... I'm sorry, excuse me? DeJounte Murray? Why would they not protect him? Why would you not protect a 23-year-old blossoming, slashing point guard if you're Greg Popovich? Okay. Let me just take a quick look through. Damari Carroll, no. I don't think there's anybody else on San Antonio that I could possibly want over. You know what? I already know. There's nobody else on that team that I would want over him. So our first pick, 100% DeJounte Murray. That's like, I mean, like, that's a no-brainer. How can you start your team off better than picking, you know, your point guard of the future? We're off to a great start here with DeJounte Murray. Let's take a look through the rest of this this draft, and let's see who's here. In a minute here, I'll start to sort everything by the age, so we can look at some of the younger guys. Kidd-Gilchrist, not a bad pick. We also have to keep in mind, as we do every year, like I said, we have to keep in mind that if we do draft somebody from a specific team, we can't get anybody else from that team after that. So we can't just see a player and say, all right, we're definitely going to go for it, unless it's a player like DeJounte Murray, where we know there's nobody else on San Antonio that they wouldn't protect that we might want. Because I highly doubt that they would not protect, like, Keldon Johnson. I don't think he would have been there. What? Wait, what? Oh my God, dude, here we go again. Michael Porter Jr.? What? Am I missing something here? Why would he not be protected? All right, well, I don't think I'm going to complain about this. Let me just make sure real quick. Let's sort it by team. No, we can't sort it by team. Let's go to the younger guys and just make sure there's nobody here from Denver that we might want. Bull. Yeah, there's no way. I would love to get Bull on the team. And they have him on a two-way contract as well in Denver. There's no way I would pick him over Michael Porter Jr., though. There's just no way. As a matter of fact, I'm not even going to drag this out. This is also a no-brainer. Like, we're definitely going with Michael Porter Jr. for our second pick. All right, so we've got our small forward and our point guard of the future. That is like the two guys that we could develop right there. That is such an awesome start for this team. Let's take a quick look through the rest of this this draft here. Who else wasn't protected? Let's see if we can get any more home runs. Alonso Trier. You know what, man? I got to be honest. That might be the next pick. Really, really like Alonso Trier a lot. And he just got a new face scan, so we don't have to use our mod. So, yeah, I mean, I looked through the list of, you know, some of the rookies that weren't protected and stuff like that. there was nobody else from the Knicks that I would want more than Trier, so we're going to go with Alonso Trier as our number 3 pick. So that brings us up to round 4. All right, so we know the Knicks, the Spurs, and the Nuggets are out of it now because we've already picked players from those teams. You know what? I think now, I mean, we've seen a lot of the veteran guys at the top. I think now is where I'm going to sort it by their age and start looking at some of the younger guys. We've got 3 really good young guys to start off, and I do like Dwight Howard. I'll have to see. We'll have to see about him. Let's take a look. Let's sort it by age. All right, so they do have Talen Horton-Tucker here, who is only 18 years old, and he's from the Lakers. So if we picked Dwight Howard, we wouldn't be able to get Horton-Tucker, but I'm not 100% sure if I even really want him. I think I do want Dwight a little bit more just for that veteran presence. Plus, he's going to be really cheap to get. Got our boy Karuch, who didn't work out in the Badgers franchise. Daniel Gafford, that's not a bad pickup from the Bulls. Bruno Fernando, that's an interesting one too, man. I mean, if we had Dwight, and then we had Bruno as like our backup center, that would actually be a cool little tandem. All right, so here's one that I'm definitely interested in. Ty Jerome from Phoenix. I think that he would be the only guy from Phoenix that I would really want. So yeah, I'm going to pick up Ty Jerome with our next pick. In the 5th round, I think that I'm just going to go ahead and pull the trigger on Dwight. I didn't really see anybody else from the Lakers that I want. Definitely don't want Talen Horton-Tucker. I just don't think he'll fit on this team the way that I'm building it so far. So we'll pick up Dwight. So I also took a look through all of the Atlanta players that were on the board, and I don't think there's anybody that I want more than Bruno Fernando. I think he could be a nice project for us, a guy that we could try to develop, so I'm going to pick him up as well. So looking at the power forwards, despite the fact that I really don't like Kidd-Gilchrist's contract, and I don't know how well he'll fit on this team. He could be somebody that we could look to trade or something. There's a lot of things that we could try to do with him. But looking at the power forwards, man, I'm not very impressed with the guys that weren't protected. So I think I am going to go with Kidd-Gilchrist as our 7th pick. So now that we've made it to about the halfway point in the draft here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the rest of the draft myself. I'm going to see if I can, look through, maybe find some more gems, and then I'm going to show you guys the entire team as a whole once I finish, because I don't want to bore you guys with going through all these players. You've already saw most of them, so I'm going to pick up, the guys that I like, the guys that I think that'll fit the best, and then I'll show you the team once I'm finished. So we finished up with our draft, and now we've got our team assembled from top to bottom. Not only did I finish up with the draft, but I also went ahead and I hired a new head coach and a new assistant head coach, and I'll show you that in a minute. But first, let's take a look at this team when it's all said and done, after the expansion draft at least. Still some moves to be made probably, but let's take a look at it for now. So of course, at the top, our best player on the team for now is Dwight Howard. Okay, he's an 80 overall, veteran center, going to be our big man in the middle. If anybody remembers the beginning of our series for the Louisville Badgers, the one thing that we struggled with the most was rebounding the ball. Okay, I did not want that to be the case again this season. So I did want to at least get somebody. I mean, as you can see, he's an A for rebounding. So that was a big thing for me, is to at least get somebody, even if he's not the guy who starts right off the bat, like even if he just comes off the bench for us. DeAndre Jordan came off the bench for us with the Louisville Badgers, and he was amazing. He would pick up double-digit rebounds off the bench literally pretty much every game, if I'm remembering correctly. And I feel like Dwight Howard could really play that same role, that veteran guy, a guy that could mentor some of the younger guys, which we'll get into in a second as well. But Dwight Howard, I think, is a good pickup. DeJounte Murray, who I still can't believe he was there, man. Like, him and Michael Porter Jr. alone make this team exciting, way more exciting this year around than it was last time with the Louisville Badgers. When we did our expansion draft for them, it just seemed like, we were assembling a team of outcasts. And in this one, I feel like, I don't know, man. I feel like with the Wildcats here, we kind of have a cohesive unit right off the bat, like something that we can build upon here. And the fact that we've got DeJounte Murray on this squad, we've got Michael Porter Jr., we've got some other good young pieces in place. It feels like a squad, man. It really does feel like it doesn't just feel like a bunch of guys that we picked off of the bottom of the barrel of other people's teams. It really does feel like a good team, and I'm really excited about it. So next up, we got Thomas Bryant, another big man in the middle for us. 6'11", 248 pounds. This was a guy that I picked up for the simple fact that he's got A- potential, 22 years old. This is a guy that if we really needed to, we could use him as trade bait. Wait a second. He's got a B plus 3-point shot? 60% from the field for the Wizards last year. 10.5 points per game. 6.5 rebounds per game. Almost a block per game. He took 100 threes. Okay. Oh, well, okay. This guy could definitely stretch the floor for us. He could definitely... We might want to see what we can do with him and maybe develop him. I was planning on using him as trade bait, but his contract's not that bad. And he's a young guy who I think that we could develop. We also picked up Michael Kidd-Gilchrist. This was kind of like a necessity pick here. He's 26 years old, 77 overall. He hasn't really panned out the way that I think a lot of people thought he would for being a second overall pick in the draft. Like I said, we needed a power forward, and he was one of the best power forwards on the board who wasn't like over the age of 30. So, you know, I picked him up as a flyer. We'll see how he can do for us. We got Michael Porter Jr., man, 21 years old. How do you not protect him? Denver, how do you not protect this man? I mean, he's injured for one season. He's got no badges, which I don't understand why, but whatever. This guy has a lot of talent, and I am just baffled that they didn't protect him. But either way, it works out for us because I am glad to have him in San Diego. Trier, great pickup. Love Alonso Trier. I mean, I'm a Knicks fan. There's no bias here, though. This guy is good. I would have wanted him whether I was a Knicks fan or not. He's a guy that another one of those situations where like it's not like it's just we're plugging him in for now. Like these guys, we can develop these guys, and these guys could be long-term answers. Trey Burke I picked up. He kind of is one of those guys who's kind of just filler for now. You know, backup point guard. We have another backup point guard, though, that I'll show you guys in a second, who I'm actually way more excited about, and that will probably get a lot more playing time over Trey Burke. Justin Jackson. This was a guy that I picked it up kind of late in the draft. Again, I needed a guy who could play the power forward position that wasn't, you know, getting way up there in age, and that was a decent contract. And he kind of fit that bill. I mean, he can shoot the 3-point. He's definitely athletic as well, especially for being 6'8". And I think he's got decent potential, right? He's a B potential, so that's not bad. Nikhil Alexander-Walker. I don't have to tell you guys a whole lot about this one. You guys know how excited I am about this kid. I said it a lot last year in the Badger series, you know, how high I was. I don't know if I really talked about it too much, but this is a guy that I was really excited about coming out of college into this year's draft. He was picked, 17th overall. Another guy who I guess is kind of on the fence with his whether they would protect him or not. But this guy is another guy who can score. He's a playmaker big time. I'm surprised he doesn't play the point more because he is definitely one heck of a playmaker. But he can also defend. Look at his perimeter defense. B+. I mean, this guy who's literally is got just an all-around game, and I'm really excited to see what he can do as well. Our shooting guard position is in a pretty good spot right now. Next up, we have our backup point guard, and this is the guy I was talking about earlier. Even though Trey Burke is a little bit better than him in the overall rating, Ty Jerome is going to be the guy who will come off the bench behind DeJounte Murray. A- 3-point, B+ playmaking. He's C+ in perimeter defense, which I think is a little bit low. I think he was a lot better than that at Virginia. I'm not going to lie. I think that he's a lockdown. Like he's a lockdown in my opinion. At least he was in college. We'll see how that translates to the NBA. Maybe that's why they're only giving him the C+ for now. DJ Wilson, this is a guy that I picked up in the Badger series as well. It's hard to say with him, man. Like I'm always so up and down with him. I never know whether I want to keep him around and develop him or let him go. And, you know, I think that he usually ends up wanting more money than he's worth when contract time comes. But only 23 years old. They updated his face scan, so I'm happy with that. I mean, they gave him the correct hairstyle. So, I mean, that's a plus. Not that it matters, but, you know, is the guy that can score the ball, especially from the outside. He can stretch the floor. He's 6'10". He can play the 4 or the 5, even though I think that for his size, he's probably a little bit better suited for the 4, just because he's not the strongest guy. You know what I mean? He's not the strongest guy. But next up, Bruno Fernando. You guys saw that I picked up Bruno Fernando in the draft. Again, a guy that I just feel like we can develop. He could be like a project for us. Very, very good at Maryland. But a guy who I think will fill out. He'll be strong. He can defend. He'll be able to rebound a lot better. Like, I think that, you know, with his athleticism especially, like, I think that he'll pan out in the NBA. It's just going to be a matter of spending that time and getting him to that point. Dylan Windler, who has just a lights-out 3-point shot, man. Can't wait to have him and see how he develops on the team And then we picked up Jordan Poole, I think, with like our last pick, just to have a backup shooting guard. And, you know, he's a guy out of Michigan. We all know about the infamous shot that he took that looked like just the ugliest shot in history, but he hit it. Hit the three-point shot to win the game for them in the tournament. So he's a guy who I think that his game could translate to the NBA as well. At least Golden State saw something in him, but they didn't see enough to protect him in the expansion draft. But either way, you know, we'll see what we can make of him. We already got 2 really good young shooting guards on the squad already. And then rounding things out, I did pick up Bruno Caboclo off of the free agency. Again, just another guy to fill things out. We need guys that can play the power forward, that might be able to develop. Because like I said, right now, as of this moment, the power forward of the future is not on this team. Plain and simple. Like, Kidd-Gilchrist is not that guy. So as of right now, I'm kind of just, you know, filling out the squad with younger guys who I think might be able to step up. And he was one of those guys that I saw on the free agency. He wasn't too expensive. And, you know, this is a guy who had some hype coming out of college. So, you know, we'll see what he can do. He can definitely stretch the floor, that's for certain. So that is your 2019 San Diego Wildcats team. The next thing I want to show you guys real quick before we jump into taking a look at the uniforms and stuff is I want to show you the staff. So this is the staff that we've put together. The CFO, assistant GM, that stuff's not really all that important. I did grab a good trainer so that hopefully we can get some more training camps, you know, in the off season. But our coaching staff, the most important part, Jay Triano, we've got him on a 4-year deal. We'll see how he does. A lot of you guys know he was the assistant coach for the Charlotte Hornets before coming over to the San Diego Wildcats to take on the job of head coach of the new expansion team. And then his assistant coach is going to be Jaden Brown. This was a guy who, you know, had high potential. He was available in the assistant coaches, so I picked him up. I'm going to give Jay Triano like a 3-year thing here, where it's like by that 3rd year, we should see like some serious progress. And if we don't, then we might look to go in a different direction. But as of right now, we're going to rock out with Jay Triano. We're going to give him at least the opportunity in these, you know, in these down seasons to coach his team up, to build and develop these guys. And then once things start to really come together, that's when we'll really get to see whether or not he can take us, you know, all the way. If he could take us deep on a deep playoff run, and then hopefully even beyond that. So that's our coaching staff for now. So now it's time to get into some of the more juicy stuff, and that is the uniform designs, the logos, stuff like that. We're not going to take a look at the arena yet this episode, because next episode when we play our opening day game, our first game ever as the San Diego Wildcats, it's going to be at home. Okay, so our opening day game is a home game, and I want you guys to see the arena then when we play the game, and I think that'll be perfect. I think that'll be a lot better. But we are going to reveal the uniforms and the logo right now. Now, first off, I want to let you guys know, I literally spent like, I don't even want to say, it's probably an embarrassing amount of time that I spent on trying to design these uniforms and trying to get things perfect. Like the smallest things, even down to like the damn sponsor. These are the things that I worry about, and I'm sort of a perfectionist in that way. A redesign down the road is not out of the question. As you guys saw, we redesigned and rebranded the team with the Badgers in 2K19. That's something that we can absolutely do if you guys want to, and not to mention, there was a couple of different logo ideas that I kind of was you know, debating between. If you guys want to see a different logo, if you don't like this one, feel free to let me know. You guys know I'm going to change whatever you guys want me to. This team, when it's all said and done, will look exactly the way you guys want it to. But if you like the way it is now, then we'll keep it this way. Anyway, let's jump right into the team branding first. This is the logo that I went with. We are the Wildcats. That looks a little bit like a tiger, but hey, a tiger is a wildcat, right? I mean, it's not domestic. So, anyway, this was the logo I went with. I wanted there to be stripes in the logo because originally I had this idea for this like gradient logo, and actually I think I can show it to you guys. So that was the original logo idea right there. It's got like a gradient effect to it, and I decided to not go with that. I decided to kind of redesign it and put the stripes in it because I just when it was all said and done, and then I had the logo in the middle of the court and stuff, I just wasn't feeling this logo. But if you guys are, and you guys like this better, by all means, we can switch to it. But anyway, enough about the logo. Let's take a look at the San Diego Wildcats uniform. So I went with the All-Star Game San Antonio inspiration for these these jerseys. with the side stripe and stuff. I kind of, obviously I put our own twist on it. But that side stripe is obviously a spin-off of what they used in the All-Star game in San Antonio about 10 years ago. And then, of course, the Wildcats, across the chest, came up with by myself. I kind of put the brackets on the side because I thought that was kind of a cool thing. It kind of happened by accident, but I had never seen it before, so I decided to use it. So these white ones are our home uniforms, and then our away uniform, I'm calling this one San Diego Knights, okay? Because in San Diego, one of the biggest things about the city of San Diego and stuff is the beaches and the nightlife. And so, like, when you look at pictures of San Diego at night, there's, like, a lot of neon and stuff like that. I know a lot of cities are like that, but San Diego is the same way. So I decided to call this San Diego Knights. So, yeah, I'm really happy with the way this particular uniform turned out, especially the away uniform, because if you look, the sneaks are just fire, man. Like, they are lit. Like, every single sneaker that you put with this colorway, they look amazing, absolutely amazing with this particular uniform. As you can see, here's the back with the number on the back and everything. I might shrink that number a little bit. I know you guys don't really like it when I use the huge numbers, even though I kind of like it. Anyway, these are the uniforms. As you guys can see, we are sponsored by Jack in the Box. I went with Jack in the Box because it was kind of one of the cooler San Diego-based companies, and they are headquartered in San Diego, and apparently not only in San Diego, but in California in general, Jack in the Box is just everywhere. So I figured it was good to go with a sponsor that was, relevant this year at least, right? So anyway, so those are the home and away uniforms for the San Diego Wildcats. We do have an alternate uniform. We have a statement and a city edition. But as you guys know, I kind of like to keep that a secret for like the first couple episodes until we actually use the uniforms. And I like to reveal it later. I think it's just kind of a cool thing for you guys to look forward to, me to look forward to, for me revealing it to you guys and getting you guys a reaction. But anyway, like I said, that is the current roster and the current uniforms for your San Diego Wildcats, your 2019 San Diego Wildcats. And I say your because, yes, this is your team, your San Diego Wildcats, okay? This is your team. So you guys are going to tell me if you want me to change anything with the uniforms. You guys are going to tell me, should we trade away this guy, or should we, try to target this person in free agency, or should we draft this person? This is all going to be up to you, just like last year. Nothing's really different. It's all the same. We're just doing it better this year, okay? Hashtag add player. It will be there. It will be there in some fashion. I have to figure out a good way to do it, to include you guys. It's just so hard, I'll be honest with you. There's a lot of submissions, and I know it probably doesn't seem like it, but if you guys go back and look through the comments of the 2K19 videos, there were a lot. So many more than I expected. I can't even describe to you how many more there was than I ever expected there to be. And the fact that you guys all want to be a part of the series is just like, I can't even describe to you guys how awesome that is to me. A lot of people were asking about the hashtag add players from the Badger series. I was going to bring them over if we continued the Badger series into 2K20, but since we're leaving it in 2K19, and we are going to continue that series, by the way, so that's not done yet. But because of that, since we're starting a whole new series, I thought it would be good for me to figure out a good way to incorporate new hashtag add players into this year's game. So, like I said, I'm going to figure out the best way to do it so that I can include the most people possible. You guys just got to give me a little bit of time, and we will definitely figure that out. And then I'll also be releasing episode 2 of the San Diego Wildcats, so stay tuned for that as well. Can't wait for that. You guys already know I can't wait for that. Don't I always say that? Don't I always say that I cannot wait for the next episode? You know why? Because I legitimately cannot wait to record the next episode, to go up against, who is it? The Indiana Pacers. The Indiana Pacers is our first game at home in San Diego. It really doesn't get any better than this. Victor Oladipo, Miles Turner, Domantas Sabonis. Gonna be weird going up against Sabonis, being that, he was a part of our team for as long as he was, still a part of our team in the Badgers series. He's very close to our hearts, but we're gonna have to put the smackdown on October 23rd. Okay, and it's just part of life, man. It's part of life. It's something we have to do. Can't wait for that. Hope to see you guys back for that one. Until then, I will catch you guys next time.